Hello everyone, welcome back. This is video lecture 2 of 4 for Habit 1. And in the last video, we discussed the idea of carrying your own weather, of choosing your response. So let's get into that a little bit more in depth. So I'm going to show you my slides. And we're going to talk about the idea that in between the stimulus and the response, there is a space. So if you recall, if you've had psychology, one of the things that you learn about in psychology is Pavlov. And Pavlov did experiments with dogs. And in those experiments, Pavlov would give the dogs meat and he would ring a bell at the same time. And eventually, when he rang the bell, the dogs salivated whether he gave them meat or not, because those dogs became conditioned to respond automatically. So in the human version of that, responding directly to a stimulus is when we respond based on our mood, our feelings, our circumstances. We've had a bad day, so we're super snappy with someone. On the other hand, imagine a different scenario where in between the stimulus and the response, there's a space. And in that space is the freedom to choose your reaction. In other words, when something irritating, upsetting, terrifying, annoying happens to you, instead of automatically responding, taking time to decide how to respond. That is a huge, huge, powerful tool. It's kind of like the old thing that Grandma used to say, which is count to 10 before you say anything. Well, if you literally separate yourself, you give yourself space between the stimulus and response, you have the ability to choose a better reaction. In that space between the stimulus and response, we have 4 things. And I started out this conversation talking about Pavlov. Well, humans are different than dogs or rats that we do psychology experiments on, because we have 4 human endowments that are different from other species. First of all, we have self-awareness. In other words, we have the ability to examine our own thoughts, our moods, and our behaviors. So for example, I know that I have a tendency to fly off the handle, but because I know that I do, I have the ability to monitor that and to check in on myself to see where I am. Second, we have imagination. Oops, just a moment. Hang on just a second. I am going to see where we are. We had a little computer malfunction there. Yep. So what's going to happen now is that I'm going to put the stuff right back on the screen. I apologize for that. Can you see that now? I'm going to make sure that you can. Yes, you can. Okay, I apologize. Imagination. I want you to think about our ability to visualize beyond our current experience and circumstances. So in other words, we can be in a situation and imagine a different situation. Third is conscience. Conscience is our understanding of right and wrong. So in other words, we know when something we do is right or when something we do is wrong. And then finally, independent will, or willpower, which is our ability to act independent of external influences. So let's take a look at another video. Let's see where we are in terms of this. Hang on just a second. There we go.
You can usually we tell a person's proactive or reactive nature? By listening to their language. It's kind of the fingerprint of where the locus of control is, whether it's inside or outside. Really. I can't do this. I have to do this. I had a student one time. Would you excuse me from class? I have to go on a tennis trip. I said, well, what? We just finished talking about how the language of the proactive person is, I choose to, I prefer to, yes, no, I will. The language of the reactive person, I have to, I must, if only, I can, I haven't time, I'm low man on the totem pole, look what's above me. The people who need this aren't here, or if they are here, they're not getting it. I was going through all of that. He said, excuse me from class, next week I have to go on a tennis trip. He said, what? I have to go on the tennis trip. You what? I have to go. You have to go? You have to go? Oh yeah. What'll happen if you don't go? They'll kick me off the team. Seems like a natural consequence to me. You don't go on the trips. You can't be on the team. What'll happen if you don't come to my class? I don't know. What's the natural consequence of not coming to class? I don't know. I mean, think. What naturally will happen if you don't come to class? Well, I mean, you wouldn't kick me out, would you? Well, that would be a social consequence. That's artificial. It's not natural. If you won't participate, you shouldn't be on the team. On a tennis team, that would be natural. What will naturally happen if you don't come to class? I guess I missed the learning. That's right. I know if it were me, I'd choose to go on the tennis trip. But never say you have to do anything. You have the power to choose. He meekly said, I choose to go on the tennis trip and miss my class.
Okay, so I will see you back in the next video where we're going to talk a little bit more about proactive language, and then we will move on and take a little look at ways that you can work within your circle of influence. So I'll see you in a few minutes.